Welcome and thank you once again for joining us for this webinar, first webinar actually in a series of three, co-creating the way together. So my name is Elena Bonometti. I'm the CEO of Tostan, a West Africa-based organization that has worked over the past 30 years at the community level, at the grassroots, to empower communities to develop and to fulfill their own vision of well-being. And it has inspired a larger scale movement leading to the respect of human rights and to dignity for all. We are so excited today to welcome you to this session. We are also proudly founders of a new form collective, which is called Catalyst 2030. So I want to welcome the participation of my fellow colleagues that really want to influence others to embrace a system change approach and really advance or accelerate the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. So thank you, Catalyst 2030, and let's keep doing together a great work. So the purpose of this series of events is really to talk to one another about system change and actually to grow together our field of practice. And at Tostan, we have been conveners of conversation around system change. And actually we have been doing that at the grassroots level. And if we were today in West Africa, and I'm calling from Dakar today, we will, one of the communities we work with will convene maybe under a tree, maybe under a baobab tree. And people have been convening at the grassroots to really discuss issues, some sensitive issues, and they're important to their heart, and find new ways of steward social change. And so we are being proud also of convening those conversations at a practitioner level, in particular out of our Tostan Training Center in Thiès, where we share really our methodologies and we learn from others about a human rights-based approach, but also, having lenses of social norms. And we are also, proud to have influenced global thinkers, funders to see things in a different way, to use new lenses to look at the work. So that's why it's so exciting today to convene this conversation, and we have two wonderful panelists joining our conversation. So Sybil and Sanjay, thank you for being with us today. So let me introduce them very briefly. So Sybil Chidiac is Senior Program Officer on the Gender Equality Team at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. She is responsible for developing and leading the Women Empowerment Collective Strategy with a focus on advancing women economic empowerment across Africa, in particular in Nigeria and Uganda. And Sanjay Purohit is the Chief Curator at Societal Platform at the X-Step Foundation. From India, of course, our technologies from Bangalore, of course. Sanjay brings 30 years of global experience in corporate strategy, digital transformation, and sustainable development. So thank you so much, Sybil and Sanjay, to be with us with this conversation. And please, would you like to add a little bit about yourself, because before we get into the program, and maybe let our audience, our guests know why this conversation is so important to you. So please, Sybil, over to you first.
Thank you, Elena. Greetings, everyone. My name is Sybil Chidiac. I am a savings group practitioner who was first introduced to the savings group concept in 1998 through my work at CARE, and then later in 2000 when I served as a Peace Corps volunteer in Porto Novo, Benin. Ever since, I haven't looked back. Rather, I've stretched my work across 20 African countries with initial focus on driving the formal financial inclusion of women found in savings groups, then later to include additional training and services focused on strengthening women's agriculture and nutrition knowledge and practices, all in the aims of strengthening the outcomes around income, decision-making, and control over assets for women. Maybe first, I have to highlight that throughout my career, I never used the term systems change to describe my work. However, that is exactly what I've been pursuing, specifically changing the system for women, changing the ruling patriarchy that exists across many societies, especially across Africa. And with this, I can't claim to be a systems change expert, but would like to frame my inputs to this conversation based on my practitioner experience across my various roles over the last 2 decades. And as Elena mentioned, currently I am with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, where I serve as a senior program officer of our Africa Women's Empowerment Collectives work within the Gender Equality team. Women's Empowerment Collectives, or WECs as we call it, are fundamentally institutions of the poor that support the advancement of women's human, financial, and social capital. In Africa, they are savings groups, and in India, known as self-help groups, with added elements that drive socioeconomic wins for women on their journey to greater agency. Thank you.
Thank you, Sibylle. You bring so much to the table. Over to you, Sanjay, please.
Thank you so much, Elena. It is a privilege to be here with you. Tostan has been an inspiration for many years. Good evening to everyone from warm Bangalore. It's looking forward to this conversation today. I work at the Ekstep Foundation, which is the foundation of Rohini and Nandan Nilekani, based out of Bangalore. Since 2016, I've been restless about one question, and that is the challenges that we are facing, whether there are challenges in education or healthcare or livelihoods or urbanization. The challenges are of exponential character. They grow and they diversify at a very high speed, whereas most of the solutions are of linear nature. Right. So my restlessness, my impatience has been to see, is it possible to identify exponential responses to exponential problems? And that is what led us to the idea called societal platform thinking, and that is what I work on, which essentially is to apply methods and frameworks to develop exponential answers to exponential problems at speed, at scale, and in a sustainable way. We work across multiple sectors: education, healthcare, livelihoods, water, urbanization. And today I'm very excited to learn from the experiences of my co-panelists and share some thoughts about what have we learned in our journey of driving population scale change, which obviously you cannot do unless you change the equilibrium of the system which runs that entire environment. So glad to be here, and thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Sanjay. They are asking me for you to be closer to the mic, if you can speak louder.
Okay.
Thank you so much. So before we dive into our program today, it's very exciting. Thank you to both of you. I want to make sure that I unfold a little bit the program for our guest. So we are planning to talk, but we're also planning to hear from you, because we want to bring as many perspectives to this conversation and really push the agenda forward. So we will have two major questions that we are going to explore around, and of course, listen from our panelists. And then we will, after one question, hand it over to you for some Q&A and also contribution. We will welcome contribution, and we will have a 15 minutes where we can exchange around the first question. And then we will push ourselves a little bit further and explore another question, and then give it over to you again before coming together and drawing some conclusion. And this is meant to be, of course, a learning experience for all of us. So, so please feel free to contribute, even in the chat, or by asking your question. We will, of course, make some tough choices. We cannot take all the questions, but we will try really to pull all the thinking together and to lay the foundation for the next conversation. So for the second webinar of the series. So be with us with the journey.